Hey, so today's video is going to be a little bit different because I will be doing a speed draw, but I'll also be waffling about a very popular piece of media that's come out, animated media, which you'll obviously know from the caption. But yeah, it's Arcane. And to be honest, I was really late to the party. I never played League of Legends and I never watched season 2 when it came out. I had my thoughts and opinions, but since season 2 has come out recently, I did a binge watch and I've caught up and I have more thoughts and opinions, so I thought I'd put that in this video and I'll be talking about those whilst doing this speed draw of Vi and Jinx. And I put a lot of effort into this one because I'm not really someone who does like fan art, not because I'm too good for it, because it may be too good for me. I really struggle with drawing from stylized reference. It tricks my brain into thinking you should copy this, right? And yeah, it just confuses me a little bit. So I really had to try hard with this one. And I went down all the proper channels of collecting reference images and all of that. So you should be proud of me. And I'm really proud of how it turned out. Anyway, so yeah, I think it turned out really good. So I was going for this kind of upward angle dynamic pose shot. So I used these reference images from Pinterest, and I will put the details down below. And then obviously I got some reference images of Vi and then also from Jinx. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the topic of the video. So yeah, I mentioned that I had my thoughts and feelings about season 1, and they mainly come from me just not being a big fan of 3D animation. Animation as a whole has my whole heart, and I think I'm just a little bit of a traditionalist. I love 2D animation so much, and I am really proud of how far it's come, and all the possibilities and things that animators are able to do and speed up their process as well, and that is all thanks to things related to 3D. I am currently in school studying games design and animation, and it's very heavily 3D focused, so I will say I have been humbled a little bit recently because I'm starting to see how much time and effort goes into rigging and making these characters move. But I think that the art style in Arcane is beautiful, so gorgeous. And I think that expressionist, overly saturated, chaotic drawing style kind of clashes a little bit with the robotic nature of 3D animation. And I get that it was an intended art style, and that's actually one of the things that they are praised for the most, is how they managed to give it a 2D painterly look in 3D. But I personally just don't think it works that well. I feel like they're onto something, but it wasn't executed in a way that works for me. It's definitely a personal opinion, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but it kind of throws me off, and I think it's because I'm paying way too much attention to things like and the other thing that I had a lot of issues with is the plot holes, and things just not really making sense. I'm a big fan of thriller and these kind of psychological things or complex storylines. And I do like when things kind of slowly piece themselves together and leave the viewer confused at the start, but then everything kind of comes together. Whereas I think when watching Arcane, I have the opposite effect, is that I think I know what's going on, and the more I watch, the more I'm like, what is happening? Season 1 was a little bit better when it came to this, but season 2 had an era of, I want to say it felt a little bit rushed, dare I say, because again, respect to animators and they deserve a break anytime they ask for it. But I feel like the storyline just kind of lost itself a little bit towards the end, and there was some gaps that I needed filled, which I was hoping for, and then I was like, oh no, we're not getting that. We're just getting the final countdown. We're getting those final moments, and so I had to kind of like ignore and skip over all of my questions, just to like focus on the ending and get that done. And it was cool. It was a lovely ending. But yeah, those are just bits, things. That's just a feeling that I felt. Here's me trying out my dip pens on the sketch that I did, just to kind of get a feel for how they flow, how they work. These ones are a really fine tip, and I really, really love them. I got a set of a bunch, and honestly, I'm not too sure if like the tips vary. That would be very helpful, and I suppose I could use the bottom as well, but I just think they look pretty. You can get tip pens that are very simple looking, but of course I had to go extra with it. Spoiler alert if you haven't actually finished season 2, but Victor, we need to chat, babes. Like, I know that you've struggled through your life and everything. I'm here for you as a fellow disabled babe, but what is your problem actually? What is your problem, and where do you stand? Like, I kept struggling to work out what his stance was, and I get that an overall theme is the idea of nuance, and that there is no good side, bad side, or there is no good thought, bad thought, or bad actions can be backed up by good intentions. I understand this. I definitely do give him some grace though, because he did grow up severely unwell, and his whole life he's been threatened with death and chronic pain and chronic illness. And I think if he was given something that could maybe help that or give the promise of maybe getting rid of it, I understand why he was kind of latched onto it and wanted to explore it to its fullest extent, I guess. But it's like one time you're like, oh, Hex Tech, we love it. Then you find out that there's more to it, and you're like, this is a bit scary. Like, maybe we shouldn't, because I feel like it's gonna supersede us and that's gonna cut out of our hands. And then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna conquer it. And then he conquers it. Like, it conquered him, rather, and it killed someone. And he's like, yeah, I'm still gonna keep reaching on to this though. Maybe, I don't know. It was hard to see. I got the impression that he continued to reach for it, even though that sky was there, but maybe it was kind of pulling him in. So, okay, cool. Anyways, he was just very flip-floppy, wishy-washy. He just went from like, I care about everyone, I'm gonna save everyone. Evander deserves my help. He is a man at the end of the day. He's not an actual beast, so I will help him. And then 5 seconds later, he's like, no, I'm giving my soul to you, doctor. Like, I don't care. Like, the beast will be yours. Like, what's going on? And then he's mad. Then he's killing everyone, and he's conscious. And then Jace gets through to him, and he's like, oh, yeah, I did that shit. And I get it, like, Hextech got in his head, he's probably in psychosis, he's probably, like, there's more to it, but also, like, that wasn't necessarily clear. So from my perspective, he's a mess, and I don't like it, because you can be a mess by yourself, or you can be a mess by dragging the entire fate of the world with you, and I don't stand by that. I don't want to be dragged into your mess. I'm so sorry. Don't even get me started on Jace. What is his problem, actually? I have big beef with Jace because, again, wishy-washy, but it was backed up a little bit more. He started because, you know, he was doing something with his friend. He was fascinated. He's a scientist. I get it. Like, when you're in your craft and you feel like you're making breakthroughs, nothing can stop you until you realize something can stop you. It will stop you and everyone else. Okay, cool. You've realized the reality and the escalation of the situation. We move on. Why is he mad at everyone and their mum? Like, I'm so sorry. You started this. You created a problem. People backing you, supporting you, people's lives are intertwined with this problem that you caused, even with ill intent, sure, but like at the end of the day, it's your problem, and now you're just pissed because not because they're using it wrongly, incorrectly, but just because, like, how dare they encourage you? You were encouraging. Like, you're a beautiful man. Like, of course they would follow you. You had power. Of course they would follow you. Like, power in the sense of your title, and also power being Hextech. So of course they would follow you. Why are you mad? Especially being mad at Victor. And when it comes to Mel, that's your girl. Have some sympathy. Like, y'all got back in the same time. Like, y'all just tapped back in. And you want to be mad at her because she got powers. She just found out like 5 seconds ago. Where have you been? Okay, so finally we're going to talk about the character arc that annoys me the most. And unfortunately, it's Caitlyn and Vi. And please, I would like to preface this. I am queer myself, okay? So this is not a criticism. I have experienced many a sapphic relationship in my life, but this one, I just don't buy it. Because they first meet each other when Kate is getting Vi out of jail. And that's pretty much their first meeting. They spend one day together, with a load of chaos. Not enough to trauma bond, but like, we need to remember that they are completely and utterly enemies. Kate stands for something so completely different than Vi. That's literally like the whole story of their dynamic. And I get that it's meant to be like an angsty, like back and forth, tension building thing. And sure, like, the flirting was there and you could tell that they were attracted to each other, but it just doesn't seem right for Vi's character that she would dismiss her entire life, everything that she's ever fought for, the reason she was in jail for years, just because this girl is kind of pretty and kind of cute. Like, yeah, she kind of listened to you and she's a little bit different, but it just doesn't make any sense. And the reason I'm saying this is because by their second meeting, it becomes like a thing that they're like in love, basically. Like, Jinx even is like, oh, I can tell that my sister has like really feels for her, like she means something to you. And it's like, this is a stranger who is also an enemy. Like, it's really not making sense. And you would think by season 2 it did kind of make sense and they have time to like pine for each other. But again, they stopped talking for the reasons that I'm saying. So it doesn't really make sense that once they get the opportunity to get back together, that they drop everything in the height of a civil war, and just forget everything in the past and get together because they were just so in love. Like, where did that love come from? And me, I'm a hopeless romantic, okay? I believe in love at first sight. but like there's got to be reasons, there's got to be tension, there's got to be a slow burn. There was no slow burn, they were just flirting. You know, I know the community that backs this show is the gays, crazy, the gamers, crazy, the nerds, crazy. But I'm all three. Well, I'm not a gamer, but like I know what I'm talking about, and they just didn't have it. Like, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Arcane. Obviously, I know it sounded very negative and I was very critical, but I did very much enjoy watching it, and I can't wait to see animation take over the world and be more prevalent in streaming platforms, or have our own streaming platform, crossed fingers. Yeah, that's just what I want to see in the future, and Arcane, I definitely think, has brought us a step closer to that future. And I really just love how also it wasn't like there was a message they were trying to get across, the themes of classism and anarchy, and the struggle, and putting some value and faith into the people. That's everything that I stand for, and it's something that I really tried to do with the Eclipse project as well. If I couldn't get it out there, I'm glad that someone did. I do think it's a great story. I just feel like there are some areas where it needed some work, and that's my personal opinion. But either way, I am very happy that I watched it, and I'm excited to see way more animation just be at the forefront of a Netflix page, or even if it's not Netflix, we need something where animators and artists and animation enjoyers can come together and stream stuff, whilst animators are still getting the pay and the respect that they deserve. And that's what I see in my ideal future. So hopefully that is coming soon. But yeah, if you haven't watched the show, you should go see it. Definitely go check it out and form your own opinions. But for now, I say goodbye.